All right, it's Thursday night. You are on with the Band Buzz. I'm so excited for tonight's show. One of my best friends in the whole wide world is on. We will get to Mr. Nick Lynch in just a few seconds. But first, I'd like to take a moment to give a shout out to the sponsors of this show. I want to thank Legends of Tomorrow Entertainment for all your band and brand management needs. Contact them at info@legendsoftomorrowent or visit them at legendsoftomorrowent.com. If you have a podcast, you have media, you have content, you have a band, you have something that you want to market in the entertainment space, get a hold of them. They will set you up with an entire package to get the ball rolling. So hit them up, legendsoftomorrowentertainment.com. Also, one of my buddies, Eric Perryman with Old Wise Clothing Company. Go check them out, Old Wise Clothing Company. They have all kinds of new stuff for the summer, some cool new Ringer t-shirts and trucker hats coming out. I can't wait. I got a bunch of stuff on the way, and I'm really excited. Also, the fine folks and consultants of Arbonne Products. My girl, Andrea Graves, you can see her at Healthy Hustle with Andrea. She's got awesome tips and tricks on protein stuff and all that teas, whatever you got. Fun recipes, ways to stay healthy, ways to put good stuff in your body instead of eating a ton of cookies while you're on quarantine. Also, my girl Beth is an Arbonne consultant, and you can visit her at Beth's Healthy Living Inside and Out on Facebook or tranquil.solutions on Instagram. And she's got all kinds of great wellness tips as well. Go check them out. But without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, my buddy Nick.
What up? What up?
Nick freaking Lynch.
Nick freaking Lynch.
What's up, dude? How are you?
Just trying to keep my sanity like everybody else.
Sanity is key in these times. You know, one of the things that I feel like, you know, you just did a Facebook live stream. And how did that go? Do people respond well to that? I feel like I see them and I'm just like scrolling right by because usually like the audio is not very good and stuff. And I know you and I talked a little bit about that before.
Yeah, I mean, it was almost more nerve-wracking for me than doing an actual show because you know me, I'm like completely cerebral about the way things actually go because I'm always scanning the crowd, seeing if everybody's jamming out to what we're doing, what we're working towards, and trying to keep everybody involved. And if they aren't doing that, then I'm moving on to something else and trying to grab onto this and that. So it's to be in your own little space is an odd feeling anyway. And then on top of it, being completely, utterly in control of what you're doing is that's a nerve-wracking thing for me too, because you want to sound as amazing as you've got it here, there, you know. So I was kind of freaking out about it for a while and then finally locked it in on. I spent a couple of days, my wife will attest that it was Nick spending time in his hole.
Right. So I have an opinion about the Facebook Live thing. I feel like, you know, again, people are just kind of using their phones and stuff. And I know some people who are great musicians who aren't really doing themselves a good service.
It's super disappointing, man.
Yeah. And they don't realize when you're streaming, there's a lot of like compression and stuff involved with the audio. And even on this, you know, I'm live streaming to multiple sources with this show. And I had to really take some time to like the technology part of it to make it as good as I could make it, you know?
It's an odd feeling, man. I mean, it's the compression, like that's the one word. And for me, I mean, well, a lot of people want to go into it with an idea that they can, for me, I don't worry about reverb and a bunch of other things. Like I guess in my head, I don't worry about all that stuff because I know that I'm super pitch sensitive and I can find it and do it and don't have to need all the frilly stuff around the edges. Yeah. But I also want to make sure everything sounds clear. And like you said, man, there's so many times where, I mean, I'll be sitting there just listening on my phone or on the computer and it's just like, oh man, I really love this person. And it's like, ugh.
So a little bit.
I want to text you right now and tell you to stop playing, please.
So a little bit of history is so Nick and I became friends probably almost close to 10 years ago after I moved to Chicagoland, and Nick is originally from Watseka, Illinois, which is way down south there, and I've been down to the farms and stuff, and so people who don't know you from in this music scene or anywhere, give them a little bit about like where you're from and like how you got to where you're at right now.
Oh, I mean, it's fairly simple and not as long-winded as you could think. But I mean, Watsika is a very centralized small farm town, and I grew up very simple and simple people, simple things, and I loved it. I mean, we had a couple stoplights, I mean, through town, 4 or 5 of them, and when it rained, you jumped in puddles as a kid, and when you got old enough to get a car, you figured out a way to get some beer here and there and getting out in the field, and you listened to country music and rock music. And I was young enough at 14, 15, I was in vocal lessons, and at that time I was, freshman in college. My friends were always pushing for me to go sing, and I had a band and was in a band with some guys from home, but never had an opportunity to really go out and do some stuff. And then I tried out for American Idol. My friend Darren lived in St. Louis, and I went down there and tried out for American Idol. And I made it to LA, but I wasn't a good dancer, and I told Simon that. And I said I didn't know I was joining a competition for dancing. Otherwise, I would have worked on my dance moves. And he said, well, if you don't know what you're going to, if you're not willing to do whatever, then you're not going to be here. And I went home. But it was a good lesson early on to learn, because you get kind of, wow, if I'd have just kept my mouth shut.
We talked about this a little bit a couple nights ago with Jess McNear, and we're talking about how those drive-through success shows take place. And I was telling your story a little bit, and I was like, hey, make sure you listen when he comes on, because you and I've talked personally, obviously, about this, and how you really thought it was bullshit to some degree, that they'll stop you and ask you to do certain things and sort of ham it up. So I mean, I think it's important for people who don't know how all that stuff works, that they kind of realize that that's not reality, and
I mean,
to some degree.
For me, you know me well enough to know that I'm not a hammy person. I'm not hammy at all. In fact,
No.
I'm very much so very dead serious about what I do, and the fact that people would ham things up. When I moved to Chicago after American Idol was all done, the hardest thing for me was to know that there were a lot of country bands or people doing country music that weren't country at all. They were guys that I knew that were old rock musicians, and it still works to this day. I mean,
sure.
It's very hard for me sometimes to know that I came from the country. I know what country is. Like I'm not even the biggest hick that I know, but I'm a hell of a lot of a hick.
I've met a lot of your hick friends.
Well, I mean, and I had to gauge that, I moved to the city. I'm a very like straight up person, and there's a lot of things that happened in my first couple of years of living in the city, and still to this day, people are just like, man, you're the most straight up guy that I know. And I'm not giving myself props by any means. Don't take it that way. I'm just saying, like,
straight up dude I know.
all I'm saying is that I've always been born and raised the way that this just as well as anybody. If you ask me a question, I'm going to tell you. You want the answer, I'll give you the truth.
Yeah.
And it was something to, I had people go, man, I can't believe that you said that to me. And I was like, well, you asked me if I liked that, and I said no. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You're certainly not, as known for playing some things as PC, and I think that's good to some degree. We were talking about that before the show, but I think that there's sometimes people are afraid to have an opinion, and I always feel like, well, it's good to have like honest answers to honest questions, and but without sort of, I don't know, like calling people out directly or anything like that. And you've managed to navigate that. I mean, you have a lot of like industry connections and all over the place that obviously people appreciate your style of just kind of doing what you do, taking it seriously, and sometimes without taking yourself too ultimately seriously, and that's a tricky line to walk.
You said everything that really needs to be said. I never wanted to be too cliche, like how do you figure out a way to, when I was younger, I always had a problem. And I think, I've had many conversations about this. I've never been able to really peg what I am, and that's when people ask you that question, that was always the thing that was the hardest for me. what kind of songs, what would you really classify yourself? And I never classified myself as really anything. Is it Americana? Well, yeah. Is it rock? Yeah. Is
Yeah.
it country? Yes, very much so. And there's just an aspect of things. When I was a kid, my grandmother really, she would play Dino and Sinatra, and I freaking loved it. Like I
Yeah.
learned how to dance in my grandmother's kitchen, listening to Sinatra and Dino, and I would watch all their old roasts, and I could not get enough of it. And then my old man I'm everything my dad is, man. Like my old man would literally, he'd have a country album on, and it would flow right into a rock album. It'd be Company, right into Bad Company, and then you'd have the next thing would be, an old Hank album or something, and the fact that my dad did that, that was how I ran with it, man. Like he gave me, when CDs came out, I really want a CD player. I was young enough, and then he turned around and was like, "Oh, you want a CD player?" Yeah. And then my birthday came along, and I got this big box, and I thought, "Oh man, I got a CD player." No, it was all my dad's old records and his record player, and that's what I listened to. And then I never asked for a CD player ever again, man. You just soak it in and breathe it, and I still love like the little imperfections about music, man. Like that's the real golden age of stuff. You get to hear the little breaths anymore. Now there's nothing like that.
Yeah, it's all digital and it's all just clean cut, and so it's almost too clean. But my mom is back into collecting records, and shout out to her. She posted today, and one of her yeah, feel free to get buzzed. That's the point. I've got my like whiskey right here. I'm partaking. But my mom posted today, and she had a Huey Lewis album of the Huey Lewis Sport album, and I was like, that album is so fire. I remember, yeah. And when I remember being a little kid with my mom, like we would lay all the records out on the floor, and it would be like Prince and Michael Jackson, and she would have Foreigner and Def Leppard.
Oh man, Foreigner was my dude. My dad still to this day, he used to beg me, even when we went to American Idol. This is like another sorry to jaunt and interrupt your story, but like there was a couple of not Journey songs, but there was Foreigner tunes that he would just be like, he'd come to me like, "Hey, look, here's a couple broke down like acoustic versions of them playing shows," and they were like horrible recordings of them. But he's like, "I just think that this is something you should hear."
Yeah.
And I would listen to it, and I'm just like, and that was the stuff that really made me go, "Holy crap, man!" Like Graham he was the shit for that time frame. Like he's one of the best vocalists in rock and roll. I think he's super, super duper underrated.
Oh, way underrated. I took my mom to the Taste of Joliet last year to see Foreigner, and they still sounded amazing. Like they still got it.
Oh yeah, that band is. It's obviously not the same singer. But like I still to this day have moments where I'll sit down and I'll just let the whole album roll through, and it's just like a freight train, man. It's just when you get good tunes like that, which you can't get an album like that anymore, that will really hit you in the chest. And now Stapleton came around and has had those kind of albums, and there's a few.
We're talking about how people don't write albums anymore, and
they write singles, man.
All my favorite artists of the last couple of years have written albums. Old Dominion's writing albums, Brothers Osborne's writing albums, Casey Musgrave's writing albums.
Bro, that last Brothers Osborne album
is killer.
I don't give a shit what anybody says.
Torn Saint Joe is one of the best albums around, and gets no credit, but I loved it front to back.
And even a mainstream artist like Dirks, I think the last album for Dirks was a pretty big venture outside of that, but the album before that, I was like, man, that's a point A to point B album for me. Like you just listen to everyone through. But it's not everybody's cup of tea. And
is there any non-country albums you think are really good that you've heard? Like I know that's even harder to find. It seems
anything recent? No.
Yeah.
I was a huge Lane Staley, like Scott Weiland, STP, and Alice in Chains for me in high school, junior high school, into college. Oh man, STP it's still. The other day I found I was just driving home and somebody mentioned it on the radio, and I all of a sudden was just like, man, I haven't listened to STP in a while, and I just put it on.
Yeah,
and I was coming down the street hot, man. I pulled up to the corner. I was like, man, I better turn this down, dude. I'm gonna wake everybody up.
It makes you step on the gas a little
Oh,
harder.
dude,
Yeah.
I was jamming.
Yeah.
And I feel it. Boom, down, down,
I
down.
feel like 90s alternative, that was, almost into the pop punk early 2000s was kind of the last album eras ish. You know what I mean? Like I remember so many good 90s alternative albums, Weezer and one of our favorites that we like to go, the Tonic we were just talking about.
Oh yeah.
I like Lemon Parade is one of my favorite albums. It's so
Make
good.
way for the Lemon Parade. Well, I mean, I think that he hit the button real good for him. Well, I mean, he's a repetitive writer for me, which is one thing that I always kind of he hits a button for me just lyric wise. But
Yeah, he's
you
got
know,
it down.
yeah, dude, even his solo stuff, it still all kind of meshes together and is really good to run. If you're gonna leave that, that's a great song by him as well. I don't know, man. Like it, rock anymore, I feel people make fun of, oh, is country even alive anymore? I was like, dude, country's more alive than rock and roll is. I don't have anybody coming at me hot, making me want to go listen to rock and roll anymore. And that's kind of sad.
Yeah, we're
And
Richie,
I'm talking about real rock and roll.
yeah,
I'm talking
Richie
about
from
like,
Seventh Heaven is coming on the show, and he talks about this a lot, that like rock albums and stuff aren't being made like this anymore. And I feel like all of that music has migrated almost into country music. Like country music has opened its arms to more alternative sounding music, and bands being bands and still writing this way and playing shows this way, where I listen to like alternative music now, and it's like infused with dance music. And I'm not saying it's not good. There's plenty of it I like. I like 21
all of it
Pilots.
is.
Yeah,
I mean, technically.
yeah, but it's like alternative music has pioneered its way forward to find its way into being more techno-y to me than
Electronic,
yeah,
MIDI.
yeah,
Like
EDM.
it's a, everything's got to be easier, man. I mean, can you do it all together in a room right now? Or
Right.
do you want to go into a room or in a studio and record things separately? Of course, cost effectiveness has played a massive part, at least for, for the big guys. For us, like still, I want to go into a room and hear somebody beat the drums and talk about, well, I love the way that went. How about give me another 16th or something like that in the middle? Like give me a run here where I can like actually buy into it. I want to feel this here and something else. I don't know. It's Adam Blair, who's talking about Seventh Heaven. I mean, I love going in the studio and working with him. It's a fun process of writing, but it's also one of those things where he's able to do things on a cost-effective measure. Shotgun, I call Shotgun, was, I don't know if a lot of people know this or not, but the drums are not live drums. They're not. Neither is the bass. It's all MIDI bass. It's all MIDI drums. When it comes down to it, was I going to have the money to scrape together to do the things that I'd rather do? It goes hand in hand. Did I just say that I love live drums and would love to have it be in a live drum room and do all these things? Of course, but at the same time, can you? So it's quicker, it's easier. Here's a completely killer version of it, and nobody, the average ear would never know that. I don't know that most do. So it's a double-edged sword, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you're right, and you see a lot of even mainstream musicians doing that, like Billie Eilish and stuff, and like her brother, I think, wrote most of the stuff, and it's just the two of them, and they kind of produced it all and were able to just do it. And especially we were talking about being on budgets and reinvesting yourself, and then you got to pay studio musicians and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I think the commoditization of recording, this is probably another topic to segue into, is that now people can buy reasonably good rigs to record at home or have home studios and get a pretty good product out of it, and then go get it mastered somewhere or something. But most people are doing like their own recording if they've got any equipment, and for a couple $1,000 even at Guitar Center now, you can buy some pretty nice stuff to turn out at least good stems. And for people at home, like stems are just like the raw recordings of when you're laying down tracks for a song that you're going to do.
And then it all goes into how quickly can that be turned around for a live show? A lot of that stuff was able to be immediately. I mean, that song was written in 10 minutes, and it took
Did he co-write that with you? Did Adam Blair co-write that with you?
Adam came to me with a bare couple, couple lines for a verse and an idea with a melody for a chorus, and we in 10 minutes had it done.
Those
And
always
then,
seem like the best ones, the ones that just kind of come out and flow.
oh shit, we've got 20 songs that we've got close to done but never can seem to finish, and of course the last couple months have not helped anything. But yeah, I mean, those are always the ones that come fast, are the ones that seem to be the ones that, when you don't have to put a lot of thought into it, it's just good.
Yeah,
that's the one.
yeah.
When you got to sit there and pour over it for months, you just you fucked, get over it.
So one of the
Sorry
things.
about that.
No, it's all right. It's all right. I don't think we can just say it repeatedly or we'll get taken off YouTube. But so one of the things that I wanted to talk about a little bit with you is like, there's been some debate a little bit online and even posts and things that I've had with people like, what does the future of this, like, you're a very live performer. You and I have been on the road together. When you've been playing, I've been doing sound for you, and I play a lot live. And this whole thing is just like a screeching halt to that business for us. And what do you think the future of this is going to look like? Do you think eventually it's going to go back to normal? Do you think it'll be a hard switch? Or do you think like people are going to have to figure out a new medium to put music out, to get paid for it? What do you
I won't venture into the medium as a whole. As to go back to your original statement, to talk about live performance, I think that it will be 100% different. I think that, for me personally, I go back and forth, and I'll talk about this as not only just a musician who loves live performance. I miss it wholeheartedly, and honestly, that's part of the reason I'm a musician. It gives me base for release. It gives me an ability to allow myself to let go of everything that's around on a regular basis. The whole world does not impede on anything that I'm doing in that bubble at the moment, and that's hard to let go of. But then there's a moment to go back to the original comment and question that I'm a father of 2 little boys, my wife, and they are the entire world for me. And to think about being around some people that might have some horrible, horrible, disease that I could bring home to my kids, and just, telling me that I could be 6 feet away is not enough for me,
Yeah.
But there's also a pocketbook reason that you think about. Like for me, I've lost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in the last just couple months. I mean, we're talking about no shows through June. We're talking about no ability to have any of the substantial amount of income just strictly as a musician. Then I don't even want to talk about my other side of income, which is, I have busted my ass for a long time doing anything from bartending to managing bars. I have renovated houses. I've built, garages. I'm building a garage for my father-in-law right now. I mean, you do things that, I've always prided myself on being a jack of all trades. But when it comes down to it, man, like, this is going to be a totally different world when we reopen this thing. At least the people that are smart about it, it's going to be a different world. For me, I can't think of it any other way than that. And it's not. It's got to not. It can't be about money. It can't be about. I can't even describe it anymore. It can't be about just you or me. It's got to be what's going to be best for all of us. And if you can't think about it that way, then I don't know what's
causing. I mean, one thing that's causing for me is to look at like even starting this show. It's like I've thought about doing this show for a while, and so the side hustle part of me comes out when there's time to rest like this, when some hustle I have can't happen because of the current situation.
And that's one thing I love about you. I mean,
thanks.
No, it's just truth.
Thanks, man.
I think you and I are two hustling ass mother effers, I mean, but I mean, continue. Sorry.
No, I try to be, and I'm like, there's gonna be a business. My opinion is there's gonna be a business in how you present music through streaming and can you do things in a quality way, create videos. I love the quarantine videos that are coming out where people are doing well-produced quarantine videos. I just did one for our Taylor Swift tribute thing, and people love it. And I see and that was inspired by other people doing them. And I think that is what the way to keep yourself relevant right now. I would almost rather see those produced videos than even the live streams that I've seen, to be honest. Because like I said, I see the live streams and I'm like, scroll past, like it's not, and I know that people are doing that to stay engaged with their fans. And I am of the opinion of give them something special. We thought about doing a live stream, and I was trying to figure out how I can have everyone in their house and call in and have the audio be good and do like a live performance, but the timing and the lag and all that stuff is such a problem.
And how
So
do you
I
not? And,
can't produce something that's quality this way. Keith Simple is actually the one that he did where they were all in the same room the other night was like the nicest one of those that I've seen.
yeah, I was gonna say, how do you do it with everybody in another room and have?
Yeah,
I mean, you know just as well as I do. I have more feel on stage about things than a lot of people I know. I'll look over at Drew and he'll know he's about to change it. It's going somewhere else. Hold on a second. And I do it all the time. They laugh at me because I've got a set list, and it's not a set list. It's a song list.
It's an outline.
Exactly. It's an outline for me, not for you.
Yeah.
And, I mean, and to not have those people with you in the same room, it's really, really hard. It's not music for me is all feel. I have no ability to do music without that feel. And even sitting in this room by myself the other night for that show, that was the hardest part, man. Like, I mean, it's heartbreaking sometimes to think that that was why, like, the set list of songs and the things I did, I was doing things for me because that was the only way I was going to get feel for it. That was the only way I was going to be able to figure it out. That was the only way. And to think about not playing in front of people for a while, man. I mean, can you think about when we finally do? I'm going to be like a freaking kid in a candy store, dude. I'm going to bust loose like nobody's even like seen. And all of us, it's going to be nuts. But the thing is when.
Yeah, that's the timing now. And I'm working with venues and festivals and people who are trying to plan something. And we've tried to look at July 4th, and we're like, is it even going to happen before then? And this, especially in Illinois, other states are opening up, which I think
our governor.
Yeah, and this is a whole other political topic, I'm sure, but the idea that like this state for numerous reasons is going to stay locked down, my personal opinion is it's a political football at this point, and it's being used that way.
There's also a lot of political dollars involved.
Yeah,
with
exactly.
Doing so.
And it's follow the money. That's why we're doing what we're doing. That's why this state.
I'm not going to go Republican or Democrat on things. There's a whole.
But I mean, I think
dollar
a lot
amount
of people would agree that again, I want people to be safe. Don't get me wrong. I want people to be safe. And just what you talked about, it's like the idea of playing shows right now and then bringing stuff home to families and kids and stuff like that. That's a whole mess of stuff that I'm not trying to trample on at all. But I think I'm trying to even come up with ideas of ways to have concerts to still have social distancing, but let people still go enjoy live music. Working with some folks right now, we're trying to do this drive-in concert idea maybe. And if we can get a couple of those kicked off in the summer, maybe that is a way to still have some enjoyment of live music and somewhat of, but have it be done responsibly. So I think that's the one plan.
And even live venues that we play on a regular should have some bands come in. I mean, that's just my opinion. Have some live feed videos from your venues of, some of your favorite bands that come through.
I ended up in a good debate with some folks that, again, I invited on the show, Tony Martino and Matt Marquardt and people, and Mark Nilsson, we were talking about this, and, we all, agreed to some.
And give us a stage for crap. I mean, I'm not trying to be overzealous about it. I just mean it's a stage for people to play on, and let us get up there. I mean, you don't have to pay us, even I guess. That's the Nashville route.
Talking about is like, how is it going to get back to that where there's no what money is in it for the venue? In fact, a petition was started by Rose's Lounge, of all places, to allow them to have bands to live stream at least from their location. And I don't know if that they want to do that to promote or
Rose's in the city.
Yeah, Rose's Lounge.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like the blues bar and stuff.
Yeah.
Nick Galanis and them were Pete Galanis and them that play there a lot. They were passing around like an online petition for them to at least be able to have some sort of shows or live streams there. And I think their angle was to stay relevant, market maybe food or beverage service pickups, that kind of thing, and use the bands as a live stream marketing tool, maybe to increase business in some way.
Well, why can restaurants that sell alcohol strictly because of this, but bars that
Yeah.
are sitting on a ton of product can't get rid of any of it? That's a little unfair.
Yeah, I mean, I think but again, I think we're in this weird time where they're going to change the rules a little bit, and either
They've
lax
already been
them or
changed a little bit.
yeah, yeah, and it's all going to change even more. And I'm always like, well, what's it going to look like after this? And it's hard to because you don't know that, but at the same time, there's an also a large gap of like someone trying to figure something out that somehow is mutually beneficial for bands and for, like you said, venues, so they can have some music, pay some musicians a little something. And again, I think more now than ever, it's in the interest of staying relevant. Even Matt did a live stream where he's singing. James Lane from Boy Band Night did a thing where he's singing online, and they're doing these live things. And again, I like the live things just from the standpoint of like staying relevant. But at the end of the day, like I want people to at least have some sort of experience that our people, our music, our bands haven't gone away, and some have. Like some bands have just like folded up shop. It's
Dude,
over.
well, on that note, I'll say this. Think about all the wonderful venues, music venues. Think about all the wonderful restaurants. Think about all the places that, on a continuous basis, I mean, I want to say that they live week to week off of the people that come through. But, I mean, you're talking about some really mom and pop shops that can't survive through 2 months of not making any money. And that's why they do, your paycheck protection programs that go to Stanford and other places.
Yeah.
And I won't go into all of that, but I'm simply saying, like, there are just a lot of regular businesses that people rely on that are never going to make it through this, man. I mean, that there's a bare bones, no bullshit way around that. Life is going to be 100% different, and we all have to be cognizant of that, and we all have to be a little bit more, receptive to life being different, and look out for the rest of us around. I mean, there's a lot of our friends that are, man, I mean, it's just they're not getting through very well.
Yeah.
And some dudes that I'm talking about. I mean, it's just, life is not going to be very easy, man. It's hard, and I'm thankful that I've got a wife that's still working, and I've got an ability to go find some things to make some money off of, and the support system is there, and you got to be able to and be willing to ask for some help too. I mean, and I'm not just saying that for myself. I'm just saying it for everybody. I mean, we're all. I know you would, and I know I will. If there's some people out there that need some help, man, you got to ask for it, and you can't feel like you're alone the entire time.
Yeah.
It's not an easy run at all. So you got friends. Don't sit there and think you're alone.
Yeah, and I take that opportunity to, if anyone's in a way, they certainly reach out to me, and if they need help with something or whatever, reach
Never
out
be afraid, man. I mean, God, there's this whole, as much as people want to act like it's a big competitive system, I've never been that way, and I know you haven't either. I would go out of my way if somebody ever asked for some help to help them. And especially for my fellow musicians and all the people that we run around in the same circles. We might not ever be able to actually hang out with each other on a regular basis, but I know that there's plenty of people that I've had, small, short conversations with that when I do see them, man, it feels like I've been friends with them for a lifetime. And you gotta be willing to ask, because there's plenty of people that are willing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm Megan she's coming on next week from Wedding Band, has started like this whole musical collaboration thing, which I think is an awesome idea.
I think you told me about
have this downtime, she's trying to do music with different people and stuff, because this gives us an opportunity, to be a community more than ever. And it's one of the reasons I wanted to do this show, is because I talked to so many different people in our scene and even outside of our scene that I think, just like we were talking about for the show, like you and Eric and other people that I've talked to would get along. So that it's I'm trying to connect some dots in that way, and I think it builds community more than anything. But I certainly want to get off the COVID subject because it's like depressing for me.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to go too far into it too, but
No, I think we touched on it enough. I mean, so I want to get to like some fun stuff. Like you've been on the road a lot. You've traveled to Denver. You've been opening up for big artists and stuff. And I know you've been pushing the single for a while.
yeah.
You got a road story? You got anything good without selling anybody down the river in your band or something?
I don't think that I have any stories for that.
Oh, he just got nothing to say. No.
Come on, man.
You and I've got stories. Like the date I brought to your wedding.
I won't even talk about that.
Yeah, we want to talk about that one.
I am not that person.
Oh, jeez. No, that's cool.
I want to thank you for that, though.
Oh,
I still have a couple of my like good friends and aunts like have been like, so what, did Justin date that girl any longer? I was like, yeah, of course he did.
yeah.
No.
I don't know.
Oh God.
Or the time that we partied down in Watsika, and then like I tried to leave early in the morning, like hung over and got stuck in a ditch in the snow. Remember that one? That was fun.
And I told you.
You told me not to go.
Don't.
I was like, it'll be fine. My truck just slid right off the side of the road, stuck in a ditch.
And what did I do?
Pulled me out.
Anyway,
you
should know me better than not tell any of those stories.
Oh man, you've got so many good ones.
They're around a campfire, not
not on live stream. So
on the rest
maybe
of the
I'll
world.
record like the after hours when we're talking after this is over, and then I'll release that as a separate thing that you have to be on the underground.
I don't know if people can see how red I am right now.
Oh yeah, warming up.
My wife is watching. I don't need her.
Oh, that's right. Hi, Erica.
And
yeah, they're getting, your boys are getting big. How old are your boys now?
My oldest is going to be 3, and Duck just turned 1. God, I don't know. Time flies by, man. You know how fast it goes. How old's your kid now?
20. So yeah, I was just talking about that, and I am always like, wow, time flies. My son Jared, I think he watches this too, and he's doing pretty good. I mean, he's this thing scared us a little bit, not to go back to COVID at all, but he has diabetes, and so
does he? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's got type 1.
My father's a type 2, and I've had to, like, my entire life. When you go through your eye checks and everything like that, you've got to. Now the boys are gonna have to go through all that too because their grandfather is,
Yeah, they're like susceptible to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It runs a lot. I don't have it, but it runs a lot in my family. So he's always had to be careful.
Did somebody? Was it males or was it females?
Both.
Both? No shit. Bro.
Yeah. My dad's side and my mom's side. Like
my dad was a enigma. He was the one that I don't think I know about anybody else.
How's your dad doing?
He's Mike, man. He's good. Nah, my grandfather has unfortunately been real not good, to say the least. Actually, the worst thus far. And I went home a couple days ago because we thought it might be on the further downward turn. His Alzheimer's is getting real bad. So it wasn't a fun couple days. Today was kind of my one day to come out of my haze, but it's I mean, for a lot of people that but for a lot of people that don't know me that well, my real name is Dominic, and I'm Dominic Edward Lynch III, named after my grandfather. And my son is the 4th, and my grandfather is my favorite human being on the planet. Oh. And it's been a hard road to hoe with all of it. He doesn't even know who I am anymore, and he's been my best friend for pretty much my entire life. So, but I've been blessed, and you want to read into it the only way you can, and be thankful about the beautiful times you get to spend together. And I look here in the mirror every now and then, and I see a little bit of him in my face, and I look at my boys, and I see that there too, and That's all he can do, you know.
Man, yeah, that's tough. So he's has Alzheimer's and dementia.
He's got full blown Alzheimer's, and just my my his brother. Well, he had two brothers. My older great uncle Jack, he had Alzheimer's as well and dementia, and it's not fun, you know. And
Yeah.
he's the last of a. I don't even know if that breed's alive anymore when he's gone. So
Hmm.
it's a weird thing to look at anymore. You know, my grandmother's long gone, and they were my two favorite people in the world. So I see him, and now with all this crazy shit going on, I feel horrible for all the people that can't, you know,
Yeah.
just go say hi, grandma, hey, mom. You know, they're in a place that they can't even go and say hello, for Christ's sakes. That's,
Yeah, they gotta go say hello through a window or drive by their front
oh
porch.
my God, get a FaceTime video with them while they, you know, it's the last moment they got, you know.
Yeah. I think that's important, if you have, people, elderly people and stuff in your family, give them a FaceTime call. Don't forget about them, I know they're going through this a little bit harder than most people, and it's sort of the forgotten thing. And even when this all started, it was like that was the big hit for me. It's like, you're talking about like wiping out a generation and a pretty good generation of people that molded certainly people like you and me.
Kind of. I mean, they were. I mean, you're talking about the backbone of the American life, for me at least. I mean, my grandfather was and still is the strongest dude you've ever. I remember being, 16, 17 years old, and I'm talking about a part of life where you're just beginning to, experiment in life. And my grandfather was always the sweetest, nicest guy I ever knew, but I always heard stories about how he was the strongest, meanest son of a bee you ever saw. And then my grandfather was he's a Hall of Fame linebacker for Western Illinois University. He could have gone even further, but he went back home and started a construction company with his dad and his brothers. And long story short, but I mean, he found some cigarettes inside of my truck one time when I had just turned 16, and he had cancer and like in his shoulder, and that was the start of it. And I'd never been scared shitless in my life. And he ripped his shirt open and yelled at me, and they had taken out part of his shoulder and part of his tongue, and he yelled at me, "This, you want to look like this?" And I cried, and I cried and cried and cried and cried. But I mean, you're talking about some people that went through the deepest depths of, I mean, shit, he went through the depression and things. I mean, like, for Christ's sakes, like, those are the kind of people that, like, I love sitting down and listening to the stories from them. The life they lived, how simple things were, leaving your door unlocked. I grew up like that, man. Like, I grew up in a farm town where you didn't lock your car or you look at keys in it. Like, people didn't screw around like that. And you think about how life is now. Shit, I don't even want to let my kid drive his remote control car out in front of my house. I mean, it's craziness.
Yeah, it's different times, man.
Totally.
Yeah. And it depends where you live. Some areas are still set back that way, which is a good thing. But certainly where we're at is not. I sometimes don't lock my front door, so I probably shouldn't say that on the air. But but
ladies,
it's like people. I've got people up at my front door, and I'm like, just go in. It's unlocked, and they're like, really? I'm like, eh. I'm too.
I got insurance.
Well, I'm like, I think if people want to rob me, they just roundhouse my door one good shot, and they could get whatever they want. So,
pretty much,
yeah. But I guess I'm not too worried about it.
With a little initiative, I suppose.
Hey, we got some comments here. Look, Stephanie Meyer, two of my favorite dudes. Hey,
I love you, Steph.
What up, girl?
Always.
So here, Jason Montgomery's watching. You remember Jay, my old drummer?
Duh.
Say what's up, Grizzly Balls.
One of these days, I want to get a motorcycle and go on a ride with that guy.
Oh, listen. So
I'm still envious of all of his pictures.
I've been not on the rides, but he's taken me by car once, and we toured all the bars that he would hit while he
in Iowa. Is it Iowa or Ohio?
Yeah, basically along the river, and bounce between like Poopies and all these places. And we started at like 10 in the morning, and I was drunk by like 1 o'clock. We drank for like 14 hours in one day. It was insane. Like it was the craziest day. And we just didn't stop. Like it was just we kept hitting all these like biker bars and stuff the whole way. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I stop here, I stop here." And actually, that was the when I met like Poopy, the owner of Poopy's, and like he like gave us a show that day because Jason was in, just in there talking bullshit with him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, come in the back, let's book a date." And I was like, "Cool."
That's what happens when you know good people. I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
it's the truth.
Jason knows a lot of
He's
people
good
out that
people,
way.
man.
Yeah, and Jason knows a lot of great people out in the Dubuque, Iowa area. So, thanks Jay for watching. I'll have him on. He's not afraid to share a few stories. I don't think he's got no one to answer to at home, so, like you.
No, it's not even about her. She wouldn't
I'm
get mad at
just
me.
kidding. I'm joking.
I'm just not about that.
Yeah, anymore.
Slow your roll. I'm not Michael Jordan or anything.
Yeah. No, but so anyway, we're coming up here about 45 minutes, but I wanna play your song because I really love it. When I first heard it, it has sort of like a pop rock-ish alternative feel to me.
Yeah.
And I like that about it. And it I think I text you the moment you put it out on Facebook or social media, and I text you right away, and I was like, this song is like radio ready. It certainly sounded like something that I would, like and listen to on the radio. So I'm going to share it with everybody, and then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit and we'll close everything out. But ladies and gentlemen, this is I Call Shotgun by Nick Lynch, co-written with Mr. Adam Blair.
Can you hear it? Because I can't hear it. Only video's playing.
Something's wrong with the audio here. We'll restart it.
No, just leave it where it is.
All right.
It's all good.
All right.
We can do like commentary over it, can't we?
Yeah, sure.
Why not? Well, the video was shot partially in my hometown.
Oh, really? You went down to Watsiko to shoot this?
Mm-hmm. That's my high school.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Who's the actress that's not your wife?
So, Brian Bender, good friend. He and Kaylee, one of Kaylee's friends, got called in last minute and was totally cool with doing it.
Nice. Is she single?
No, she's not.
Dang it.
very pretty lady and awesome, and I'm totally spacing on her name right now. But that's literally the high school field. And that's my friend Chad Markley's farm right there. She's on fire and the heat is all right. And that's now I'm waiting for you to tell
What show is that at Joe's Live?
I think we were opening up for Kip Moore.
Oh, nice.
All the one times that we get to go back. And then there was another show at, pretty sure it was at Old Crow. So we use a lot of like live feed video from those.
Yeah, definitely good clips.
Bender and Kaylee are super pro. Yeah, we woke up and had like a good day. And we're like, let's go. And Erica had school. And I was like, oh man, there's no way I'm going to get my wife to be able to go down. She was not my wife at the time yet. And so I just said yes and went. And she was like so happy about it. Worked out.
Yeah, no, it's a good looking video. And I heard the song the first time. I love that song. You did a song right before that I really liked too. I think it was like Lucky or something. What was
Lucky
that
Break?
song? Yeah. I like that
Good
song.
friend of mine, Roger Adler was when I first moved to the city, I had joined, the whole reason I moved to the city was I'd been living at home in Watsika and was working construction for my family. And I oddly had been at a friend of mine's wedding in the city and just got up and sang a couple songs with the band and with David. And then David Young, who's a phenomenal, trumpeter and but he played with the Arlen Music Camp, and Ken Arlen, who was one of the most premier, music guys in the city when it comes to having large bands, corporate events, things like that. He brought me in and gave me my first like real good go at, singing pretty much every single week. That was how I really honed in on doing things. I had to wear a suit and I was a penguin, every week, but it was fun, man. I really was able to learn harmonies and zoned in on things like that. But I met Roger Adler to get back to the main point, and Roger was probably one of the biggest influences on music for me in my life. Mainly probably the biggest. And he just said, "Who in the hell are you?" And I was like, "I'm nobody." He was like, "No, you're somebody. You're somebody. You get your shit together and you call me and let's get together and write some songs." And he was exactly who I needed to meet at that exact moment in time, because I had no drive or any direction, and he really gave me that path. And it was honestly, I don't know that I would even be doing any music without him. It was something that happened for me, and Lucky Break came out of that. He was in a changing moment in his life. We wrote a crap load of music. My first whole album was with Roger, and Lucky Break was a little bit later on after that. But he had met a wonderful lady named Jane, and I'm thankful for all of it. But it was one of those songs that came out of all of it, and I still know that people gravitate towards that song just as much as I call Shotgun. I go to shows and they ask for those two songs on a regular basis, and I still get a lot of pride out of that. It was a part of my life that I'm very, very thankful for, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, I thought your first album was good, and Roger seems like a very talented person to sort of write and produce.
Well, the movie Groundhog's Day, right?
Yeah.
So if you watch Groundhog's Day at the end in the gazebo,
yeah,
that's my buddy Roger playing guitar.
Oh, really?
That's Raj. Yeah, he did the whole soundtrack and everything was Roger.
Wow, that's amazing.
A little gem for everybody.
A little nugget.
Yeah.
So, you've shared this story with me, and I know that you don't really talk about it a lot, so I'm gonna dig into it a little bit though.
God, what is it?
Here we go. No, you have an experience sort of just post like the American Idol stuff that you did, and you had like a record deal basically,
I had a
and
few of them.
yeah, but you went to Florida, and that was to go, do it. You thought that was like your step to go do the big thing. And I know that was, I want to talk a little bit about some failures only because I think it's important for young musicians and people at home to realize that you don't just go from like, oh, you're playing guitar in Watsika, Illinois, and now you're some big time guy opening up for John Party and whatever. And there's a lot of stuff in between, and there's a lot of like falling on your face that happens. It's happened to me plenty of times with bands in my own musical career. And I know this is like, it's not like the greatest, like, oh, look at me, I'm off, but
I'm not afraid of them at all. I mean,
yeah,
you fail more than you ever succeed. It's the
yeah,
truth in life, period. I mean, if you're one of those people that's lucky enough to succeed nonstop, then either your parents got a shitload of money and you're very fortunate, or you're very fortunate. I went to American Idol not just once, not twice, but 3 times.
Yeah.
And finally made it, but I didn't make it even then. And even in that moment, I'm going to be 38 years old, and I still sometimes even I have moments where I look back and I think to myself, man, you idiot. If you just said the right thing at this moment or just done what they told you to. I mean, and I'm not just talking about American Idol. I'm talking about many, many, many things. There's a million different versions of things that have happened for me. And it all shook out the way it was supposed to be. And I'm here where I am right now. And I swear to God, no joke, I'm as happy with where I am right now, even if that other stuff would have happened. I don't know that I would be happier then. My wife is the most wonderful person ever. You've heard me say it. I'm not just bullshitting anybody. I love
Erica.
It's a crazy ride we go through, and it's a roller coaster. And my boys are the most amazing, wonderful thing I'll ever do in my entire life. And I'm not just saying that to say it. I smile, and they're the only thing that really makes me happy to look at all the time. But with American Idol, like, it was one of those moments where you'll never have a quicker moment of really, like, people don't realize how much, you said it earlier, like, this isn't reality. It's if you can make it through this, it's the things that will really prep you for what's going on. If you can make it through this, you are destined for success in this business. You are destined for this. It was always a really wild roller coaster of things that were going on all the time. And for them to stop you and say, hey, whoa, do that again. I'm like, what? Wait a second. What? No, just say everything you just said, but say it with a little more like oomph.
A little more pizzazz.
Oh, so this is reality. Okay. All right, cool.
No,
but I mean, it's just one of those things that people don't ever get or realize or want to realize. I don't know. I mean, it's just like, you think what you see is reality, and it's just never that way. It's never gonna be that way. It's doctored for you to really breathe in and eat and love, and what you see is what you think you're getting, but it's never really that.
So you come out of that though, and then you get approached for like this record deal in Florida, right? Like
that wasn't it was a lot of different things that went on between that, but I mean, I won't go too far deep into it, but I had a friend, a guy I thought was my friend from home, from Watsika, actually, who had worked with, I don't even know if I told you this. Let's get real in depth. All right.
Get dirt, man.
So this guy that I had known from home had been close with Ron Perlman, who was in Sync, Backstreet Boys fame, was super duper mixed up in the, I guess, the boy band, Christina Aguilera, Creed, mix even. And I got to kind of get mixed up in that a little bit, but not too much. I was still young and still kind of not with it enough, but I was spending money. My family was spending money. And then through that, I met the eventual record label, but it was more of an investing opportunity for, my father, my grandfather, which was unfortunate for them. But it was a gigantic, life lesson on massive levels. I wrote a lot of music that was really awesome. Honestly, I wish that I was able to kind of figure out a way to release most of that. One song we did release, and I'm not even going to say which song it was, and we put it on there and recorded it. No, I called the guy that we recorded it with, a friend of mine that actually did most of the musicianship on it in Nashville now, Mr. Chris Nix. I called him, and then I talked to my other good buddy, and I was like, "Hey, man, I'm just gonna put it on here." My old man said, "Screw it, let's do it," and we put it on the album, and it's where it left. I mean, it was kind of the end of the road. I was the last person in the mix of 4 or 5 artists that they were gonna release. When we walked into it, it was a situation where one of the record label guys was mixed up. At the time, CDs were still massive money.
Yeah.
When every mall you would walk into, there was a CD Baby, or there was, some sort of a store. Yeah. Exactly. And he had the ability to put us in the forefront of every store. And by the end of me starting to record that album, and by the end of that album, that was how much the market went from we're doing this to we're not doing this.
Yeah.
So it was finished that fast. And it went to the electronic market. I mean, I remember packing my stuff in my car going, all right, well, my life is over. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to go home and pave roads, and I'm going to just be a country kid again. And I'm not going to do this anymore. And I was listening to the radio on the way home of iTunes is now going to, every store you walk into, you're going to be able to just literally plug your phone or your iPod or your whatever into, electronically download a song from now on. You're not going to buy an album anymore. That was how much it was the whole forefront of the market was changing. And I'm just a simpleton, man. I still am. I'm just you laugh at me sometimes just at how stupid I am about man, I'm not going to sit here and figure out a way to put out the links to stuff. That's probably my one major downfall about this stuff. I can't. Now I don't have time to do any of that, but even then it was just, I'm a kid that wants to play a guitar, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole technical side out there that, I sometimes forget because I'm savvy about it, but I don't realize that people, don't get, even when we're talking about the live streams, like people don't get using an interface and having and plugging your mics and stuff into a computer USB and setting up, it's like that's foreign to a lot of people. Some people are just like, I just want to play guitar, man. Like I just want to, some girls are like, I just want to sing, and I lose myself in that sometimes, where I'm like, oh, all you need is blah 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 blah, and I don't realize that that's not always an easy concept for everyone to grasp. I've always been good at that part of it. And that's what makes me valuable to my own bands and whatever. I'm like our own internal technician.
You're one of the most knowledgeable. I mean, you're the first person I call when I'm like, hey, dude, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
How do you feel about this?
I'm even going to have some tech people that are.
That's how I met you. I mean, that was our.
Yeah. I'm even going to have some people on though, just to talk even to that, to give some tips and stuff to musicians. Cause I think that's important to at least have some resources or people like me and other people like me in our scene, especially that you can reach out to and talk to.
How much time do you think people piss away?
Oh man.
And money too on top of it. I mean, there's so much stuff that in the beginning, I wish I knew that. I didn't do that crap. Give me some XLRs and some cables. We'll figure that shit out, but let's get here. All right.
I somehow need this microphone to go through those speakers,
And then we'll get all that other crap together. All right, come on, let's go.
Sure. But that's a struggle. That's a struggle for a lot of musicians and bands. And that's even the some things that we've talked about in other shows about reinvestment in yourself and your gear and your, as much as people spend on guitars and things like that now.
Let's talk about it now. I mean, how much do you think people should invest? I mean, what minimum of gear? I mean, I'm asking that for myself too. Can we go that route? Do we have time?
Sure. Yeah, no,
I don't want to jog off your page. I don't know.
No, I
I
think
love you. I'm just saying, man. I mean, you're one of the most knowledgeable cats I know. So I mean, why can't we?
no. So I think that especially now with what's going on, that if you're a singer, invest in like a good USB microphone. Like something that what's in front of me right now. If you're watching the live stream, if your podcast is plenty of like studio kind of condenser. Blue makes a bunch of nice microphones.
Do not waste your money on old microphones.
Yeah. Do not
please talk about this.
Yeah,
and that's from a singer. Do not waste money on old microphones.
Yeah, do not waste money on old microphones.
Talking to you, folks.
Yeah, talking to the audience. But it's not even a heavy investment from the microphone standpoint. Blue Yetis are like 150.
Do you know how much the microphone I have, the live wireless I have, how much it cost me?
I'm gonna say like over 1,000.
Nope.
Not
even close.
200.
$247.
Which one do you use?
I got the Digi Sennheiser, and it literally is no joke the best money I've ever spent in my entire freaking life.
Yeah,
it's clear as a bell, and all the struggles I've gone through.
Yeah.
How much? Well, I've got a really wide range.
Yeah,
and
got a powerhouse.
I spent $1,200 on that first digital Shure when they first came out with it, and it was I've never been more upset with a microphone. I sent it back. I thought something was wrong with it. Came back, it didn't work. Then a frat boy knocked it out of my hand at a gig, and then I sent it back to them again.
That story.
Yeah, that was a fun story. And then I sold that mic for $1,000, and it was the biggest brow wipe I've ever had in my entire life. And I went out. We were in Denver, in fact, and I was like, man. I was talking to the sound guy there, and he's like, hey, I know a guy over at Guitar Center. They got these new Sennheiser digital mics. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. And he said, I'm telling you, man. And I was like, all right, Kyle.
Finger out.
And I went over there, and I said, hey, I'm looking for a digital mic, because everything, all the wavelengths and everything else are all changing. They're going digital. Everything else is going on. And I was like, well, shit, I'll get around the curve. So I did that, and I bought it. And I swear to God, man, it was the best money I've ever spent. Yeah, Sennheiser mics for singers that have like a really wide range and some really potent high end, which I am that. I religiously go with Sennheiser. I will tell you that.
Sennheiser is a good microphone. My thing about microphones in tow is microphones are like screwdrivers. Like you don't use the same screwdriver for every screw that you have, and so if your voice is a screw,
say it as ladies, say it as guitars, say it as whatever you want to say it as. It's a weird thing, man. You got to find the ones you love, and when you get them, you just don't ever let them go. I mean, tools. I mean, it's a weird thing, dude. Wood feels different, the same way that mics do. And then in-ears. I mean, shit. I'm using my regular in-ears from gigs. Yeah, and it's just one of those things.
My Sennheiser studio.
There you go. I think Sennheiser for singers, no joke.
It's a great product for sure.
Feel like there's and I don't even. I'm
not being paid by Sennheiser to say this.
Exactly.
You should be.
I'm not at all. I just think that if you saw the guitars I play and the most of the stuff I've got, I mean, you'd know it's all over the page. But I feel like as a singer, that's my run right there, man.
We got a question here. Look, it's from Erica.
Oh no shit! That was that old girl.
Was that the same show that the girl broke your toes through your cowboy boots? Someone broke your toes through your cowboy boots? What the hell?
So we had this girl that would follow us around for shows all the time in the city, and I used to push Drew in front of me. Here's a story. I hope she never sees this.
Here you go.
I'm gonna get killed.
Go ahead.
But so she had these hooker boots on, and at the bottom of these boots was like a square, and I hadn't seen this girl at a show for a while, and she used to really make me uncomfortable. And I just looked at Drew, and I was like, hey, Drew, go talk to this girl. And she turned around and did like a little barrel roll around Drew. And when she did, and she stomped, she stomped right through, not my big toe, but the toe right next to it.
Yeah.
And she shattered like the bone right in the middle of both, not the toe next to it, but both of them. I wish I had a picture just to like put on the screen. It took me like almost a year, man. I had to wear a piece over both toes and a pad underneath.
Together.
It literally snapped them both, and you could see where the shoe was at. It was the most grueling recovery. And I've been through some recoveries in my life.
Yes.
It was one of the worst ones. And Drew was like laughing. I was like, oh my God. And then we had to I was the first set. It was the break after the first set. I had to go on for like, I don't know. We'd do 3 more sets on a Saturday night at Old Pro.
Man, that happened in the beginning.
It happened at the beginning, and I was like in agony, man. It was the worst. And I have not seen that chick since. That happened like 3 years ago.
She doesn't want you to hunt her down for the medical.
Well, I won't say what I said to her after it happened. But I told her I would rather not ever see her ever again.
Yeah, I'm sure. You're like the Iron Man of like gigs. I've shown up to so many gigs like sick or like I remember one time I woke up to do a Old Crow gig and I couldn't talk, and they wanted us to play like a pre-Cubs game, and I was like, I can't talk, and then he's like, what are you gonna do? And then like actually our female singer Kathleen wasn't gonna be there at the time, so it was just me, and I was like, dude, I don't know. And I gargled salt water, everything. I did not miss that gig. Yeah. And I drank. I drank a lot.
What you do, man, relax those muscles and
just let it go. And then
I've had a million times where I've been like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. My wife would laugh if I said it. You said this to me 100 times.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I felt terrible if I had the flu. Like I've never canceled. I've never stopped. Like I feel like if I tracked it, I'd get some kind of Iron Man award. Like just like
you would not be
doing shit. I'm probably killing myself, but I'll kill myself doing it.
I don't know. Well, I mean, like I was talking about Arlen earlier, like those are the days when I can remember feeling really, really sick, like wanting to cancel and say, hey, I can't. I mean, when you think about it, it's literally, here's your job. Yeah. And that's how I thought about it. Like I went from working on a bridge crew 6 days a week I had to be at the job, at the office at least at 3:30 in the morning every day until we were done. I was stocking, I had to make sure the trailer was ready and rock and go. And then all of a sudden I got offered to go sing in a band 2 days a week, not 6, and move to the city. What the hell? In my mind, I was like, what in the hell am I going to do the other like 5 days a week?
Yeah, 140.
Holy shit. I got to do something with my time because I know me, one, if you give me that much time, I'm going to get in way too much shit. And that's like, I immediately, like, number one, I want to do that. I mean, that job, I should also give massive props to one, Leslie Hunt, who, talk about American Idol, she's one of the OGs. Like she was like season 1 or 2. Mm-hmm. Leslie Hunt is also one of the people that like helped me figure out how to be a musician. She was beyond just a mentor and a friend. She was literally, she's got perfect pitch. And I remember like one of the first or second gigs and just had my ears in, and I would be singing backgrounds while either she would be singing lead or Mike would be up in front and Christina, we're in the back, and all of a sudden she'd go and poke me and she'd give me the note real quick and then go right back to singing hers. And I'd know where to be at. And I was just like, man, holy shit. Yep. You are incredibly talented. But Leslie Hunt, check her out. She's incredible. You know this as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, those are the days where it was just like I couldn't wrap my head around. This is how, like, you're a musician every day of your life.
Yeah.
And then it happened, and you're like, holy crap. And then I started bartending and doing a lot of stuff. But it was like you said, like I'd been sick, and I would be like, I can't sing tonight, man. Oh man. we're going to Kentucky this weekend. We're playing the Kentucky Derby this weekend. Nick, you've got 25 songs. I have a whole set list for you. You've got to sing these. I can't do it. I don't know what's going on, man. I'm so sick. You go and do it, and I pound, half a fifth of whiskey, and we rock it, man, and we just kill it. And it's incredible how much you'll just psych yourself out, and then all of a sudden, in the moment, you're like, all right, I'm about to do this. You better be freaking ready.
It's amazing even when you step up there, like the adrenaline takes over too, and you totally sort of forget about it while you're going through, and then at the end comes and you're like, oh my God, I made it. Like it's such a such a stressful like relief at the end. You're like, oh man.
It's been a wild ride though. I mean, can you think about all the times though, for real, that you've been like, I'm on the verge of canceling this show tonight.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't do it. I've called clubs and been like, hey guys, I'm obviously talking in a regular voice right now, but nah. And then I show up with a fifth of Jameson's and a hottie toddy, and there we go.
Busted out. No, I took my band to Pennsylvania, and I was playing back at the Winter Circle where I kind
Winter Circle.
It's called the Winter Circle, not the Wiener Circle, not the Chicago Wiener Circle. But anyway, but like the second night, I got really sick and I could barely be on the stage, and they were like playing without me some, and then they were running out of songs, and I was like, I got to do this. I got up and I was like, I did the next 3 nights of shows like sick, like it's some stomach virus or something. I was just in a bad way. And I remember that, and my parents and everybody was like all concerned about me. And
where's that place at?
It's
are you from Hershey?
I'm from just outside of Hershey, from Lebanon, Pennsylvania, and my parents still live in like the Lebanon, like Jonestown area, and the Winter Circle is just outside of Hershey in a place called Grantville, right off the highway, and it's been like a line dancing bar forever. It's a real old school honky tonk kind of place.
You do realize I meant to say this earlier, but we're like an hour and some in.
I know.
So remember that golf trip?
Yeah.
This is like the anniversary.
Yeah. You know what? I should be on the golf trip. Like I think right now, or I would have flown home
last week or like this.
Yeah, I would have flown home on Monday. So
I got a memory on my phone like 2 days ago. one of my favorite trips, man. I wore the golf shirt that I bought at the first, because I forgot a shirt or something like that. Yeah. I can't remember what it was, but I wore it a couple days ago. And I was like, really? Oh man, this is from my trip with Justin.
Yeah, we stopped in Pittsburgh on the way home and went to a Pirates game. I remember that. Yeah. Got super trashed.
My friend Dave is now running like 2 ski resorts out in Utah area now.
Really? Yeah. That's wild.
Okay.
Yeah, Pittsburgh, that was a crazy time. Yes. That's when I was driving that chick's car and I backed up into something.
Well, actually, we went to the yes. So my buddy Dave ran Pittsburgh Stadium after all of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we got a tour of that because Tequila Cowboy is there.
Yep.
And we went out and played there a couple years later. Yeah, he was running it. So we got a whole tour of the stadium and everything.
Pittsburgh's a beautiful city. People don't realize it's kind of like carved out of the mountain and stuff. It's a really nice little place. Like I like
Pittsburgh. Doesn't get enough credit, man.
No, it doesn't. And I grew up going there and I never really noticed it. But the last couple of times, I think it was last Halloween that we played there at the Tequila Cowboy, and I just remember driving, and when you kind of come into the city, it's just
I love the brick roads. Oh, it's just so
cool.
It's got a homely like
built on the homes are built like right on the hill, on the hillside. We might slide right off, but it's a.
Don't get me wrong, I love the Midwestern areas, but it's like
I miss the hills. I miss the hills of Pennsylvania. Like I miss like the sort of mountainous region. Out here, I feel like I'm just driving like flat.
I was gonna say you got to drive really far to run away. I mean, even when you're still driving flat land.
Yeah.
I run away a lot, but.
Whenever I go home, my people ask me like what I miss the most. I miss driving the roller coaster roads of my town, like at Hershey and Lebanon, and like it's like you are up and down and around, and when my bangos are with me, and like I'm like pulling a trailer and stuff, and I'm like taking.
Well, you're right though. Like I remember standing near shit, what is it? The Andy Warhol
Yeah.
museum or whatever. You look up and you really can tell how much it just wraps around you behind, and you really do have to kind of run around. You can jog around this way and go that way. The downtown area you don't, but I mean, how many roads do you go down in Chicago that are like that whole centralized area? I like that, all the little teeny bars with the brick roads. Like there's no cool little cubbyhole areas like that in Chicago anymore.
Yeah,
there might be.
I'm an East Coast fan because I like that, you know, a lot of it's just old. I like old places, you know, like in a lot of Pennsylvania and, you know, East Coast, Northeast, Boston and stuff. It's just has this old feel that's really kind of like classic, and it's just unchanging, you know, to some degree.
I feel like they're like super duper friendly people though. Like
depends
I'm with you. No, I mean, I never had a bad experience. I asked somebody for a couple like recommendations on what I was looking for, and they were like, come with me.
Yeah.
And I ended up having 2 beers at a bar with one guy, and then, you know, nobody really led me astray that I didn't feel, at least.
Yeah, I mean, Philadelphia is a lot different. You know, they're not as nice, but like Pittsburgh, they're really nice. Like Pittsburgh people are really nice.
I like Philly. I like Philly too.
Yeah, I mean, Philly's got some cool parts, but like overall, the people like Philly, Baltimore, and stuff, they're a little, you know, they can be a little rough. Bostonians.
I had a blast in Boston. Outside Chicago, I'm not gonna lie. Boston was
definitely. I miss the East Coast.
Of fun. Stephanie.
Yeah, you played in Boston a couple years ago, right? Like, what was that for? The like NASCAR thing or something? What was that for?
No, that we played in Charlotte for the NASCAR thing, but we played it. God, I wish I could remember the name of the bar.
Look,
right, like center field.
I would love to hear a song with the both of you guys. Maybe we'll do a quarantine project. Nick has all his tech set up. Or maybe Nick and I will pull out some quarantine video. I don't like to do it live, but we'll do a quarantine one where we can just record our parts separately. And I'll let my buddy Will, who did the Taylor Swift video, edit it, but it's good.
We'll do a couple songs.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
It was a bar outside center field. We played John Lester's pediatric cancer event every year since he's come to Chicago, at least. And I'd messaged him and said, like, hey, man, we're going to Boston. And he's like, oh, we're going to have fun.
Yeah.
We went to Cheers and everything. I had a blast. Like but it's a totally different city than Chicago. It's completely different. It's a lot of fun.
I love, you know, I've gotten to travel with work and music and stuff a lot, and you know, I love all cities have their little niche. I mean, even Chicago, but like, you know, in Texas, Austin, you know, Nashville used to be I have its all little, you know, cool niches. I think that that scene in Nashville has been eroded a little bit by the popularity of it. But you know, you and I, like, we know all the good little spots. You know, we hang out at Robert's. You know, it says shout out to Western World. That's like our favorite bar.
Give me a burger.
If you're gonna be on Broadway, stop by Robert's Western World. You probably, if you go to Nashville, you've probably walked right past it, going to Tootsie's or the Stage. You've walked past because it looks like it's for old people, but it's not. It's a blast. It's the best country music that you'll still hear on Broadway, and the players that are in there are phenomenal. And the burger's good. The fried bologna sandwich is good. You could still get the cheap Bush Light.
It's Bush Heavy.
Yeah, or Bush Heavy. But anyway, that's my advertisement for Robert's Western World. But it's a cool place. You know, and you know, I remember a couple times, you know, Nick and I hung out in Nashville. We started drinking there at like 10:30 in the morning or something like that.
I did not.
You you didn't? Was I there by myself? I don't remember.
Yes, you were.
Yeah. Good times, man. Well, thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate you as a friend, man. I appreciate you supporting me and all that I'm doing. You know, I love and support everything that you're doing.
I love you more than words, and you know that.
Oh man, this is a love fest now. This is great. But no, if you're a fan, check out his new single, I Call Shotgun. It's on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get your favorite music. Look for Nick Lynch, nicklynchmusic.com, right?
Yes,
Nick
sir.
Lynch Music on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Do you tweet much? I'm not much of a tweeter.
I'm not a tweeter.
Yeah, you're
I'm there,
more
but
famous than me. You can get a blue check mark. I can't yet. But but anyway, if you're interested, and he's got some more songs that he's working on, he's writing and new stuff coming out all the time.
I
Go
keep
check
saying
out.
there'll be some new stuff coming out, but there's going to be some new stuff coming out soon. I
Yeah,
promise.
go check out the single before Shotgun too, Lucky Break. That song
Yeah.
is an amazing song as well. He's got a whole other first album. So if you go to nicklynchmusic.com, you can see all the music he's got out. And if when things open back up, make sure you get to a Nick Lynch show. His band, his guys are just phenomenal. Sam Barcy has played drums for me in Gravity. I've
He's a
spoken
bad,
in
bad,
front of
bad dude. That
Drew.
guy.
But
Wow.
Drew and Trevor, like they're all really super good guys.
Andrew Scott.
Yeah,
Check
you
him
guys,
out.
you guys have such a dynamic band. So I was so happy last year we got to play a festival with you guys, and so hopefully more of that happens soon.
I've been a lucky guy to have the same dudes, and Trevor, who's the newest guy there. And I guess he's not. Sam is kind of the newest guy, but Trevor Marshall is an incredible guitar player as well. And I've been very, very lucky to have some guys around me that stick with me and are great musicians. And I'm looking forward to getting back out with them, to say the least.
All right. Well, hey man, I'm looking forward to seeing you hanging out. I can't wait till we can actually get together again in person and have a beer. Next time we do the podcast together, we'll have your guys in the studio. We have a studio kind of out here in Aurora that we can put a whole band in, so we can do a nice, cool live show from the podcast here. So anyway, thanks again, man. I love you. I'm gonna say goodbye to you real quick, but hang backstage with me. And we'll chit chat when this is done. I'm going to thank all the sponsors for being involved today. Once again, Legends of Tomorrow Entertainment. If you're looking for someone to help you with marketing, you're looking for someone to help you with your social media, hit up Legends of Tomorrow, legendsoftomorrowent.com or info@legendsoftomorrowent.com. Send them an email. Tell them the Band Buzz sent you over there. They have some great stuff to help you get started. And if you have a great band or a great idea, they might even take you on as a tribute band or something that they can represent, or podcast, whatever content or media that you're putting out. Go hit them up. Old Wise Clothing Company, awesome apparel, endorsed by MMA fighters, national bands like Candlebox, you name it. They're wearing some Old Wise. I can't wait to get my trucker hat. New stuff for the summer. The new ringer tees are out. Can't wait. The fine folks and consultants at Arbonne. Go hit up my girl, Andrea. She's a fantastic athlete. She's a great volleyball player. She's a good friend of mine. Dre is just super helpful. She'll get you everything that you need. She hooked me up with this awesome pain cream stuff. So hit her up at AndreaGraves24@gmail.com or her Facebook group. Tell her the Band Buzz or Justin Craig sent you. Healthy Hustle with Andrea. My other girl is Beth. Beth is my massage therapist, so I got to show her some love. She's gonna squeeze me in here in a few weeks once all this stuff eases up, and I think I'm the first person on the list because I gave her these awesome shout outs. But you can hit her up at Beth's Healthy Living Inside and Out. That's Beth's Healthy Living Inside and Out, or Instagram at tranquil.solutions. Don't forget the dot, tranquil.solutions. Well, that's the show, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. Everybody who posted comments and participated in the show. I love doing this. This has really been a dream of mine come true. I feel like everybody's been so supportive. All the people in the music community who want to be on the show. We have lots of great people coming on, interesting things to talk about. So if you're a musician or you're just a fan and you kind of want to know what's going on behind the scenes in the music world, this is the show for you. Thanks once again. Have a great Thursday, rest of your Thursday. Drink some for me. Get buzzed on your own. And until next time, keep buzzing.